They're the ones who raise the bar. The ones dedicated to providing care in the most demanding of circumstances. The ones that understand the healing benefits of kindness and compassion. They're the people of Sarah Bush Lincoln, and they set the bar high. Sarah Bush Lincoln, trusted, compassionate care right here close to home.
For over 50 years, Horizon Health has been keeping you and your family healthy. And although some things have changed, Horizon Health's commitment to meet the ever-changing needs of our community has remained the same. Horizon Health, 50 years strong.
Carl is redefining healthcare around you, innovating new solutions and offering all levels of care when and where you need it. Investing in technology and research to optimize healthcare, Carl, with Health Alliance, is always at the forefront to help you thrive.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Being Well. I'm your host, Lacey Spence, and today we're talking about something that you always see. It's probably the first thing you see when you meet somebody. We're talking about the skin. So today we have two guests from Horizon Health. If you would like to introduce yourselves, we'll start in the middle.
Hi, I'm Angie Hamilton. I'm a nurse practitioner in dermatology in Horizon Health in Paris, Illinois.
Hi, I am Joy Williams. I am also a dermatology nurse practitioner in Paris, Illinois at Horizon Health.
Fabulous. So we are so happy that you're here, and I kind of wanted to let you guys give a little background on who you are, the letters, the DCNP. Can you kind of break down what that means? Because I gather that you two are pretty special to be here in Central Illinois.
So the DCNP stands for Dermatology Certified Nurse Practitioner. So in order to obtain that title, you have to work so many hours as a dermatology nurse practitioner and have so many, continuing education requirements, and then you sit on a national,
national board.
National board, you take a test, and then that's how you obtain that title.
And there's only 300 in the nation at this time, so we're pretty lucky to have two in Paris, Illinois.
Exactly. Just because we're rural doesn't mean that we can't get some great skincare right in our own backyard. So we've got several different topics to cover. I know that we're taping this in the summer, but skin health is important year-round. So if we could, what are maybe some of the biggest skincare issues we would see towards the winter months, the colder months?
So the biggest one that we see on a daily basis all year, but winter it's worse, is dry skin and not keeping your skin healthy. When the heat comes on until the heat goes off in your house, you should be using extra moisturizer and a good moisturizer. So like not a lotion, because a lotion is mostly water. It should be something heavier like a cream, preferably something with ceramides in it, which is a protein that we're kind of missing. So I think that would be the best advice. Is there anything you can add to that?
So, as we get older, our skin can just become more dry, and then there are a lot of different skin conditions where your skin is more dry anyway, such as eczema. So just making sure that you're staying hydrated all year round, really, especially if you have those conditions.
Yeah, so we say at least 8 ounces, at least 8 of those a day. So eight ounces a day of water. At the minimum.
Interesting. I always wondered if that was kind of scaled based on age or weight or anything like that.
Well, the true scale should be based on weight, but it's too hard to tell everybody a certain. So if you just say, 4 bottles of water a day at least at your minimum, then I think it's more easier to remember.
It's a good place to start. So for eczema, if folks aren't familiar with it, what is it?
It is a chronic skin condition where your barrier is disrupted, so you're not retaining enough water to keep your skin hydrated, and so then you get the side effects of dry, itchy skin, which can turn into skin infections and just a lot of problems like that.
It really itches too, so you have the scratch itch circle, so it itches, so we scratch it and then that continues, and then you have open areas, then you can get secondary infections like fungal infections or bacterial infections. Super bad for children because they always have dirty fingernails or something, because they like to share. So
Share
we
them
do
germs.
have, we do have a large portion of our eczema would be children, but adults also can have that.
So is this something I can treat over the counter, or do I need to see my doctor immediately? What does that treatment look like?
You can start over the counter. The biggest thing is, even, you know, what we talked about, when the heat comes on and goes off, using a barrier and a moisturizer cream, not a lotion, and then using a quality cream. That's your first sort of line of defense. You can also decrease the amount of baths. You don't need a bath every day in the winter if you're not out getting hot and sweaty, and maybe just do what I call pits and privates, or the necessities every day. That's some of the first things that you can do.
Also, decrease the water temperature in your shower or bath, because the more hot your bath and showers are, the more dry your skin is going to get, and then it just contributes to the itch scratch cycle.
So that vicious cycle, but in the winter you're like, oh, that's just the relief I need from that chill, is that hot shower. But it could be making your skin.
Yes. Well, and the other thing, as soon as you get out of the shower, dab dry. Don't scrub dry. Dab dry, and then put your moisturizer on within 3 to 5 minutes. And that kind of, we call it soak and seal. So it seals in the moisture that you just put in.
Is it because your pores are more open?
They're open, and the water's in there from the shower that you just took, or the bath. And then, you know, it closes in about 3 to 5 minutes. So get your moisturizer on right away.
Interesting. So another condition that I typically think of would be teens and younger, but I know it can string into adulthood, would be acne. Can we talk about that a little?
Sure. So acne is a very common inflammatory condition that can affect all ages of life. You can have, I don't really know where I'm going with this. Angie.
You can have acne at any age. So usually it starts at adolescence. So when they start to go into puberty, and that's a different acne. It's usually in the T of the face. So sometimes it can be chest and back and shoulders, or where they rub on their shoulder pads, or if they play football, the chin guard, they can have it there. A lot of times it's different ages, but girls usually get it before guys, because they go through the puberty before that. The guys have a bad time between that 14 and 18 usually, but it can be different. And then you've got this segment of people who get it when they are, especially females, when they're in that 30, 40, and they get the cystic acne, hormonal acne is what I like to call it. The other thing, you know, we're having a lot of, and it just popped in my mind, is perioral dermatitis, and that's a kind of an acne, but it's in this area because of the mask. I know people say, oh, the mask don't cause anything, but I have had an increase in perioral dermatitis, don't you feel, since the mask?
For sure. And
it's a type kind of like an acne, and we treat it similarly, but that's another thing. And I've even had people that are in their 50s, you know, when they're starting to go through those sort of hormonal changes, menopausal and that sort of thing, have problems with acne, and we have to treat that. So it could be any age.
Yeah, and there are a lot of actually causes. So it could be genetic, it could be your diet, it could be stress, it could be the makeup you're wearing, it could be, you know, you touch your face a lot.
Pillowcases, maybe.
Yeah, pillowcases, sheets.
Right. Make sure that when you are buying products and you have acne, you're using non-comedogenic. Some will say acne-free. So that you're not putting something on your face is actually causing the acne. And make sure, we talked about this, make sure that you bring your kids before they start to scar, so that we can treat them and do something about it. It is a disease process that we can do something about. So come to us. You know, we're here in rural America for you, so please come and let us treat your kids before they get scarred, because once the scarring starts, it makes it a lot harder to do anything about that scarring. And it just makes me sad to see a beautiful young lady or a fella that have scarring due to acne when it could have been prevented.
And I know it can be intimidating at the store to kind of see the array of products, because some of them can dry you out, or it can be too oily. So that's why it's really important to see someone like you to kind of get a glimpse at that roadmap of your skin. What products should I be after? Things like that?
Yes, and we always ask you to bring your products so that we can look at what you're doing and see you know, what maybe we could change, and you know, what's good for you may not be good for my skin.
Right.
So we may have to use different things.
And there are a lot of products out there for the skin. I mean, a lot of expensive products versus not so expensive. So, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to cost, you know, a lot of money to work. So.
I think we've covered that pretty well. There's one that's pretty, a topic that's pretty close to my heart would be skin cancer. You were telling me some pretty alarming statistics earlier about sunburns. Can you go through those a little bit?
So, one sunburn that is blistering in your lifetime doubles your chance of melanoma. And 5 sunburns, maybe not blistering, but just 5 sunburns doubles your chances of melanoma. So that is pretty alarming to me.
Not only sunburns, sorry, but tanning beds. So, you know, like one time in the tanning bed is about equal to 15 years of sun. And then I believe over the age of 35, it will increase your risk of a skin cancer.
And 1 in 5 people in the United States by the age of 70 will have a skin cancer. Skin cancer, and this is kind of a crazy statistic, but true, leads adding all cancers together. So there are more diagnoses of skin cancer in a year in the United States than all the other cancers put together. So that's kind of scary to me. And they're preventable for the most part. Some of them are not, but for the most part, they're preventable by using sunscreen, staying out of the sun, using a hat, clothing.
Yep,
we have clothing that have UPF in it, and you can buy those at many of the stores now. Sunglasses.
Oh yeah, sunglasses, hats, shade.
I'm sorry, what's UPF?
UPF is the sunscreen that would be in your clothing.
Oh.
So it's sunscreen, but it's in the clothing. And it will say 50, just like sunscreen that you see on the market. You know, the other thing, since you brought up sunscreen, that we have all the time is people forget to reapply. And it will say on the bottle now when you need to reapply, and make sure that you reapply your children, because you know that's something we forget about, or they do, the children forget about themselves, don't they, all the time.
And then a quick thing too with the spray sunscreen, make sure that you're rubbing it in after you spray it. Otherwise you might have a tan line or from where you sprayed the sunscreen.
Or a Z on your back where you just went zip, zip, zip.
Not a good look.
No, it's not a good look, and it hurts.
And I think probably in addition to sunscreen, kind of how you're talking about the moisturizers, and sometimes moisturizers and makeups now are having the SPF in it as well. So if you can find that and kind of tag team your products, you're especially covered?
Yes, and we would like you to have a 30 at least.
30 at least.
A lot of the literature will say 15, and they always say the bare minimum, but you really should have in your makeup a 30. Or skin moisturizers. For guys, there's a lot of products out there too where they have moisturizers that they can use after they shave with 30 in it, and they need to do that. And make sure you get your neck and the back of your hands, because you don't want to have the liver spots that Grandma used to say all over your hands by the time you're in your 50s.
So if you are as pale as I am or more pale, does it matter if you go up on the SPF scale? I always stand there and am looking at the different SPFs. I'm like, do I really need like the 100, or which is better for you? How does that work?
Well, because I'm so pale, I've tried it. So when I was in Florida one year, I put a 15, a 30, a 50, and a 70 on my arm. And let me tell you, the 15 didn't do a thing for my nice pale, you know, skin. Because people like me and you have blue eyes or green eyes, and then blonde and red hair, we burn easier. We have to be, you know, more careful than anybody else. So that's a factor in that. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to put on a 50 or a 70 when I'm out there, because I don't want to be burnt. And you know, when you burn, you peel. So you don't really get tan. When you use sunscreen, you get tan because you're not peeling all the time. And just remember that a tan is scarring. It's a scar way your body scars to protect. So it is not a process that is what we want. You don't want to have scarring all over your skin.
It looks nice initially. You know, everyone feels better when they have, you know, more tan skin, but over time, you know, you're just at increased risk of developing skin cancers and wrinkles.
Leathery skin. No one looks good in leather.
So let's say we've tried to skirt around getting the burn and the tan and have gotten a spray tan. Does that ever offer any sort of protection, or would you sunscreen over that?
Definitely use a sunscreen with that. I feel like as of right now, the spray tans are safer than, you know, the sun and the tanning bed, but there's really not a lot of information out as far as the effect, you know, the long-term effects, but definitely using that over sun or a tanning bed.
And some of the self-tanners and that will say that they've got a SPF of like a 4. Well, that's like putting water on your skin. So to me, that doesn't count. You need to put on, if you're going to the lake, ball game, swimming, mowing the yard, you need a 50 to 70 on. If it's just every day you're coming to work, it's a 30.
Even in the snow, you know, because it does reflect off of the water and the snow and the sun.
Yeah, my mom swears that some of the worst burns that she's gotten are on overcast days, and you don't even realize it because you're getting busy and you wouldn't think
And
that.
you're not hot.
Yeah, you're not hot.
You kind of say with hot, I'm getting burned, and that's not true. You know, the other thing, shout out to all my construction workers and people who work outside every day, is when you get the hard hats, get the hard hat with the rim all the way around. Because we take off a lot of cancers on your ears. If you put a cap on it, it sticks your ears out. And then it also targets your neck more, because, you know, a lot of times when they're working like this. So we take a lot of skin cancers off right in this area, this triangle area, the neck and the ears because of that. And of course the tip of the nose, because your cap goes to here. And that's just not places you want to stick out on.
No. So in addition to kind of burns and taking a closer look at the skin you've got, what about moles? How do you know when a mole is kind of troublesome?
So there is something called the ABCDEs of melanoma, or skin cancers in general. Different characteristics per se of a mole. So for instance, A stands for asymmetrical. If you fold it in half, it doesn't match. B, borders, you know, the borders are irregular. C, the colors are different. It could be blue, red, black. D, the diameter is bigger than a pencil eraser, but it doesn't necessarily have to be bigger than a pencil eraser to be problematic. And then E would be evolving or changing in any kind of way. So those are the different things that we look at. You know, we ask our patients to, you know, even keep an eye on their moles to make sure that, you know, there's no changes or.
So we usually say on moles, you need to come and see us if it's growing faster than you. Most of us as adults shouldn't be growing. If it's changing in 2 months or it's not healing in 2 months. Don't wait 6 months to a year. The bigger it gets, the bigger the scar. If we have to take it off, come. And I always say, and I'm sure Joy does too, don't you worry about it, come and let me worry about it. So come and let me say, is it risky, is it not? And that satisfies me a much more, and then I don't have to worry about it growing and you having a bigger scar than needed.
Yeah, and you don't want to wait, because some of the skin cancers can be very disfiguring as well.
And you see, it's like the tip of the iceberg. You see that, but then there's a lot more underneath. So then, you know, when they treat it, we have to do a whole lot more.
And so if I have like a family history or something, is there a certain age or I guess qualifying factor that I would want to make an appointment with you so that you can check me out head to toe? I mean, I know I can't see my back or whatever, so that I can get into you so that you can catch these things early.
Anytime, really, you know. And then sometimes, you know, we take pictures of moles just to keep an eye on them over the years. So really, anytime is a good time.
Yeah, I see children yearly that have maybe a family history or a mole their mama's worried about, or in a bad spot, you know, sometimes in the hair or different things. I've had to take one off as early as a 6 years old off of the scalp from and we didn't talk about this, but make sure you put sunscreen on your part line. It was in her part line. She had a really bad burn, and it was dysplastic, which means it was turning, it was irregular. We caught it before it turned to melanoma, thank gosh, because she was young. But I've told a 13-year-old that she had melanoma, and you know, that's a tough diagnosis to have to tell a 13-year-old. So any age, but we like to see you yearly. Unless you have melanoma, then I like to see you at the very minimum 6 months. If I've taken a cancer off of you, for the first year I like to see you every 3 months, second year every 6 months, and then the third year we try to go out every year if we've not had anything in between.
And I see that you brought one of your handy dandy tools with you today. What is this used for? What is it called?
So it's a dermoscopy, and it has a light on it. It's LED lights in different ways we can turn it, and it also magnifies. So we can look at a mole and look inside to see if there's any of those changes Joy talked about, and which makes it a really handy item for us to, it's just another tool in our toolbox to look and see if something is changing enough that we need to do a biopsy.
And what kind of services do you all offer? I know that you were saying that there's kind of a wide array of things that you guys can do in office.
Oh, we treat anywhere from acne, psoriasis, atopic dermatitis, which is usually called eczema. We remove skin cancers or just suspicious lesions.
So we do shade biopsies, we do punch biopsies. We use a lot of liquid nitrogen, which is cryotherapy, and that is what we use on precancers. They're called actinic keratosis. So those can turn to squamous cell. We don't know when or how, so a lot of times we like to treat those first. And those are in your areas that have been out in the sun a lot. So your face, your neck, your forearms, you know, places like that. So we do a lot of that.
We are going to start doing phototherapy.
Yes, yeah. So that's used for psoriasis and sometimes even eczema.
Did we talk about psoriasis?
We didn't talk about psoriasis.
Well, please, let's dive into what that is.
Yeah, psoriasis is huge.
It's a chronic inflammatory condition that not only can affect your skin, but it can affect, you know, some internal organs as well, and has been linked to heart disease, diabetes, basically
other autoimmune diseases.
Other autoimmune diseases. Yeah. Basically what happens is, so typically we get new skin cells every 30 days, but with psoriasis it's usually in the areas you're getting skin cells every 3 days. So those areas are getting really thick, scaly, they itch, sometimes they hurt, they bleed, and so it can not only affect your skin and your internal organs, but your joints as well. It can be linked to psoriatic arthritis. Sometimes you can get that first before you even get psoriasis.
Yeah, some patients, they get the psoriasis first, and some patients, they get the arthritis first. So, you know, it's kind of a dual thing, and then some patients have both, unfortunately.
Lucky them.
Yeah.
What does the treatment look like for that? Is there anything new or emerging with that, or just kind of same old treatment?
There's a lot of new. We've come so far in my years since I've been in dermatology. Used to, we only had creams and steroids and moisturizers, and now we have TNF inhibitors. We have, oh my gosh,
biologics, which are systemic medications that actually target specific inflammatory pathways of the psoriasis.
Very specific. Yeah, and there are injections that you give yourself. And I'm sure you've seen them on TV and all the commercials, but there's pills, so there's a lot of different things that we can do for psoriasis. So we really encourage people to come and see us instead of suffering, because it can be, the biggest thing with psoriasis, you know, is it's on the elbows, sometimes it's the scalp, and the ears, and people can see it, and sometimes the nails are affected. So people have a lot of psychosocial issues with psoriasis, and if you just come and let us treat it, perhaps we can maybe make those better for you so that you don't have to suffer that. I mean, a lot of people have depression and anxiety with it because they don't want people to see them. You know, can you imagine working in a restaurant and your hands are covered or your elbow, and people say, "Oh my God, are you diseased?" when you set down their plate of food. So please don't do that. Come and see us so we can treat that, because there are many things we can do nowadays, and you know, they're really pretty safe. So that's important too, is safety.
And psoriasis is not contagious.
Yes, and neither is eczema.
A lot of people think, yeah.
Are there any contagious skin conditions that we should worry about?
Many.
Well, a lot of things that we look at, scabies is one of them. We see that a lot in our dorms. We see that a lot in our nursing homes. So that's one thing. It is just a little fact, 15 minutes of skin-to-skin contact. So if I had it, you know, sitting here, you're not going to get it from me. It would be, you know, if I held your hand for 15 minutes, or if you wanted to try on my shirt, you put your shirt on, it goes skin-to-skin. Doesn't go through clothing, but that's a one thing, especially in the nursing homes and college. Anything with close contact, you know, the dorms, the kids go in and sit on each other's with bare-to-bare skin. It doesn't go through clothing though, so as long as they have on clothing or something, it doesn't. The other thing, I'm trying to think, contagious.
Molluscum Contagiosum, especially, you know.
Yes, children.
And sexually active.
Yes.
It's a virus that is it's from skin-to-skin contact. What else?
Looks similar to little pimples, but you need to let us, there's treatment for that as well. Of course, warts.
Yep.
That is.
Warts are very common.
Yeah, and we see that a lot. And sometimes they get painful because they're on the hands and feet. So those are another contagious thing that we talk about.
Skin infections,
Yes.
MRSA, impetigo.
Impetigo is really big in the kids. And if they get a sore and it's sort of yellowy on the top, the crust, then that is impetigo. Yeah. Staph infections, you probably heard of those. MRSA, those sort of things are all contagious. The other thing we see a lot of, and you've got to watch when you go to stay at other places, are bed bugs. So making sure when you go to a hotel or something, you're looking and seeing, look at the edges of the mattress and see if there's anything there. And you can look that up online to see what the bugs look like. But those are another thing that the entire United States is having trouble with at this point. Not just the United States, they're everywhere
Right.
but still. And keeping safe with ticks and mosquitoes, that's important too. Making sure you use DEET, and keep in mind that the DEET is like maybe 25, 30. That means how long it will work. It's a little different than sunscreen. So that's important.
Well, I feel like you gave us a whole encyclopedia here, but we've run out of time.
Oh,
so
perfect.
if you would like to learn more, you can check out more at Horizon Health. You can get a referral for one of these ladies. And thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we hope you'll join us next time for our next episode of Being Well.
Carl is redefining healthcare around you, innovating new solutions and offering all levels of care when and where you need it. Investing in technology and research to optimize healthcare, Carl, with Health Alliance, is always at the forefront to help you thrive.
For over 50 years, Horizon Health has been keeping you and your family healthy. And although some things have changed, Horizon Health's commitment to meet the ever-changing needs of our community has remained the same. Horizon Health, 50 years strong.
They're the ones who raise the bar. The ones dedicated to providing care in the most demanding of circumstances. The ones that understand the healing benefits of kindness and compassion. They're the people of Sarah Bush Lincoln, and they set the bar high. Sarah Bush Lincoln, trusted, compassionate care right here close to home.